1993 was the year that Ken Griffey Jr. became a superstar. Sure, Griffey was a big name as far back as the beginning, and everybody remembers his iconic rookie card. He not only made his first All-Star game in 1990, his second season, but he was also voted in as a starter by the fans. But it was his 45 home run performance in 1993 that propelled Griffey to superstar status. And everybody loved him. He was everybody's favorite player for, I would say, all of the mid-1990s. Everybody wanted to be like Ken Griffey Jr., and that's the perfect time to use your name to create a video game. The opening sequence of this game is one of the most recognizable in all of video game history. And the game itself is unforgettable. The player animations were awesome, especially players who were at bat. If the batter struck out, he'd have this look of despair on his face. Sometimes he'd break his bat. Other times he'd turn around and yell at you. This was a great arcade-style baseball game, the sort of game that kids who didn't even like baseball would play. So I know this firsthand because I had a friend who was like that. I had this friend who was really big into Super Nintendo games. He didn't know the first thing about baseball. So he bought this game and he played it all the time. I used to think that it was funny. I mean, he couldn't pronounce the names of some of the major league teams. Anyway, I've wondered over the years why this game is so popular among casual players like my old friend, and I think I know why. Well, first of all, the setup is really simple. It's a 2D baseball game that uses the same two camera angles. And you don't have to worry about its awful fielding system since there's an auto-fielding option that does all of that for you. Auto-fielding is really something that they should have had in the old NES baseball games. None of the ones that came out in the United States had it, at least not that I'm aware of, but there were a few games in Japan that did have auto-fielding. We'll get to those later. We really missed out here in the USA. The thing is that the angle you use when you hit and pitch is just brilliant. As you guys know, games like Bases Loaded for the NES experimented with different camera angles. Known as Moero Proryaku in Japan, it's pretty obvious that Bases Loaded was designed to look as much like a television broadcast of the game as possible. The sequel even uses these odd camera angles in the field that Japanese baseball broadcasts frequently used, something that we really never see in the United States. The problem, of course, is that stuff like this leaves casual gamers feeling completely disoriented. Anyway, later on, games like World Series Baseball and the Genesis received a lot of praise from mainstream baseball fans for the interesting perspective behind home plate. It takes a while to get used to this, however.
Next up, for the Braves.
And, well, the camera angle is one of the reasons I've never really been able to get into the MLB The Show series. I'll put it to you this way, the World Series games, the 2K games, MLB The Show games, and stuff like that, these are all attempts to make a realistic graphical simulation of the sport. It's great stuff if you're looking for a serious simulation, something that makes you feel like you are actually a player. But most people looking to play a video game are not looking for something that's serious. They're looking for something fun that they can pick up and play. And you know, Griffey is fun to play. In fact, its gameplay reminds me a lot of RBI Baseball on the NES. Both games have a simple batting system. Both games have similar pitching controls. Now, RBI Baseball's fielding system is unique. Griffey has a more realistic fielding system, I guess you could say. But honestly, Griffey's fielding system was designed for autoplay. And RBI is the only game I know of where a pop-up can be a crazy adventure. But the point is that both of these games were designed for people to sit down and dig into, just pick up and play. It was designed for you to get together with your friends or together with your family or whatever and play a bunch of games together. It takes something like 10 seconds to learn the controls and how to figure stuff out, and then you're playing. There is no need to learn what different pitches look like or to master different perspectives or camera angles or whatever. It's simple. You just grab the controller and you get playing. Of course, part of the amazing features of this game are the fictional names that the developers used. There is this massive section about the names in this game on its Wikipedia page. And really, people clearly have way too much free time on their hands to do research on this kind of thing. So Joey Ramone plays second base for the Mets, for example. Rocky Balboa is the catcher for the Phillies. Numerous players for the Mariners were named after Nintendo of America employees, such as the well-known Howard Lincoln. Henry Rollins is a relief pitcher for the Dodgers, and I could go on and on. Now, there were a lot of people who really wanted to use the real-life player names, and so they would spend hours poring over baseball cards, statistic books, figuring out who was who, and then edited the names themselves on their own Super Nintendo. That's the kind of hold that this game had over people. But these days, we don't have to worry about using the name editor feature. That's because there is a special so-called 30th anniversary version of this game out there with all the names corrected to match the actual players. That 30th anniversary edition also features a few improvements on the game, such as fixes for players who were programmed to hit from the wrong side or who were given the wrong body type. Play a full season with this baby and you'll feel like you're playing an actual replay. Well, to an extent, that is. The thing is that the game will only save your statistical progress. All the other teams will have their generic 1993 stats. Believe it or not, that actually means that this game's statistical system is worse than Tecmo Super Bowl on the NES. And the other problem is that the stats of some of your players will reset after the All-Star break. This is a known bug. But it's not like your stats are going to be extremely realistic anyway. I mean, the game is designed to be sort of a crazy game you play with your friends, not some sort of hyper-realistic simulation. But there's another thing you should know about this game. It's harder than you think. It takes a while to figure out how to get the timing of hitting down. It's also not easy to advance on the base path since the players have cannons for arms. My biggest struggle, though, is with pitching. It's hard for me to figure out what kind of pitches are most effective against the computer. One thing is for sure, though, you don't want to leave the ball over the heart of the plate. And unfortunately, it's not that easy to find much good advice online. A guide over on GameFAQs recommended taking pitches to wear the computer's pitchers down. Another guide recommended just swinging at everything and hoping for the best. In my experience, being patient is what works. You want to take pitches until you have 2 strikes on every batter before you even think about swinging. The game runs on the pitch count, and the pitch count limits are actually really low. So if you follow this plan, you'll get the pitcher tired early, sometimes before the 4th inning. And you'll also start to notice the pitching patterns. Most pitchers just throw the ball down the middle of the plate. Also, keep in mind that the computer can't use fatigue pitchers in season mode, which gives you another advantage. Meanwhile, the computer will simply swing at anything you pitch. So working the count is really what it's all about. There are also some strange things in this game, like the number of times your outfielder will throw out runners advancing to second on a base hit. In general, outfield arms are too strong and base runners are too slow. And you can see that these stadiums stretch on forever whenever you hit a foul ball. Well, it's certainly not a realistic simulation, that's for sure, but it's a lot of fun to play anyway. Unfortunately, the manual is more a history of baseball than any sort of meaningful discussion about how the game actually works, which is weird. My advice, though, is to at least mess around with your lineup. Put your best hitters at the top of the lineup and forget about convention. You want Ken Griffey Jr. to have the most plate appearances, trust me. And I guess in that sense it's sort of realistic. I mean, that's what I've been doing with my 1949 replay after all. Win or lose, though, this game is absolutely brilliant. It's a classic that stands out among the best games out there even to this day. Though the graphics are not spectacular, especially when you're in the field, they certainly are a lot of fun. But it's the gameplay that really makes this game stand out. Anyway, all in all, I really do seriously think that this game is a candidate for the greatest arcade-style baseball video game of all time. But as you guys already know, there are other games out there that are competing for that title. And stick around because we're going to play them all one at a time.